Greetings, fellow seekers of truth and unravelers of ancient enigmas. Welcome to Ancient Relics Keeper, where history's most profound secrets await your keen discovery. Let the journey of discovery begin. The Holy Fire Scandal in Jerusalem. One of the greatest miracles of modern religion was exposed as a fraud. Journalist Demetrius Olakos publicly denounced the Holy Fire, and nearly ended up in prison for doing so. According to Orthodox tradition, each year on the day before Easter, a sacred flame is said to miraculously ignite inside the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Believers claim the fire bursts forth from the marble slab that covers the tomb of Jesus Christ, and then spreads like an Olympic torch throughout the Christian world. The Church insists it is a divine miracle from the heavens. But Olakos, in his controversial book, declared that there is nothing miraculous about the flame at all. He claimed that every year it is the Archbishop himself who lights it with a simple cigarette lighter. He even managed to obtain video evidence as proof. Former Archbishop Nikiforos was once caught on camera admitting that miracles like these were man-made. Dating. A miracle happens when God decides, not when we want it to. He confessed that the holy fire was nothing more than a ritual, one that began during the time of the Crusades, and had been preserved by the Orthodox Patriarchate for centuries. The Church responded with fury. Olakos was charged with defamation, breach of confidentiality, and illegal recording. Church officials even attempted to have the video removed from YouTube. But their effort to suppress the truth only made the scandal explode even further. The more people began to question the miracle, the more religious faith began to falter. If the holy fire is fake, what else might have been fabricated? The questions kept coming. Is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre truly the burial place of Jesus Christ? And did he ever exist at all? The giant desert drawing. An unsolved mystery in India. When it comes to massive human-made ground drawings, most people immediately think of the famous Nazca lines in the Peruvian desert. But a recent discovery in the Thar Desert of Rajasthan, India, has left the scientific community stunned. A vast network of geoglyphs hand-carved into the blazing desert sands, larger than anything ever seen in Nazca. Back in the 1930s, a father and son duo were the first to notice something unusual. 8 scattered sites covered in geometric lines etched across the earth. First, they only saw them through satellite imagery like some kind of optical illusion. But eventually, drone-assisted fieldwork confirmed what they suspected. The markings were real. A massive spiral, a seemingly endless serpent, and commemorative stones placed at key intersections. All of it stretching across an area of 80 kilometers. This wasn't just the largest geoglyph complex ever documented. It was also the first of its kind ever discovered in India. What's strange is that no one living nearby seems to know anything about where the lines came from. They might be no more than 150 years old, but no geological survey has been able to date them precisely. Some scientists speculate that desert farmers or hunting communities may have created them. But for what purpose? And why is there no written record? The lines still linger visibly on the surface, like ancient whispers from a vanished people leaving behind a colossal mystery in the wide empty desert. A map, a ritual, or simply timeless art? No one can say for sure. But the question remains quiet as the lines themselves etch deep into sand and wind. The Witch Hunter of England. The title Witchfinder General sounds like a character from a fantasy game. But in the 17th century, it was a very real position. From 1645 to 1647, Matthew Hopkins, who appointed himself to the role, carried out one of the bloodiest witch hunts in England's history. The 1600s were a time of chaos and fear. Civil war and religious strife tore the country apart. While countless people lived in poverty, it was the perfect storm for superstition to thrive. In 1620, in the small village of Great Wom, a boy was born, Matthew, the son of a Puritan minister. Little is known about his childhood except that he received a modest education and later trained as a young lawyer. The first official record of Hopkins came in 1644, when he moved to Essex and began tracking down people accused of practicing witchcraft. It all started with a rumor. Hopkins claimed to have overheard a group of local women discussing a meeting with the devil. The panic spread quickly, and he began investigating neighboring areas. Hopkins traveled from one small village to the next, stirring up hysteria everywhere he went. He invented the title Witchfinder General himself, a name he made up. Driven by personal ambition, a single man plunged half a nation into madness. From town to town, Hopkins sold his services of witch removal, often resulting in women being burned alive. Unsurprisingly, he was handsomely paid. Hopkins hunted witches, not out of faith, but for profit. He also introduced the notorious swimming test popularized later in Monty Python's Holy Grail as satire. The real test was brutally cruel. Women were bound with ropes and thrown into water. If they floated, they were declared witches and executed. If they sank, they were innocent. But drowned, there was no way out. Hopkins's largest trial took place in Chelmsford, Essex in 1645. 29 women were accused of witchcraft, and thanks to the evidence he presented, 15 were hanged. Later that year in Berry Street, Edmonds, 16 women and 2 men were executed on similar charges. Was there ever justice? Not exactly, but retribution came, albeit late. In 1646, Hopkins' credibility began to unravel after a public condemnation by Reverend John Gall. People started to realize Hopkins was profiting from each witch burning, and that the man who claimed to be a saint was merely exploiting religion for personal gain. Matthew Hopkins never got to enjoy the wealth he amassed during the witch hunts. In 1647, just 2 years after the Chelmsford trials, he retired. Soon after, he contracted tuberculosis and died. Rumors claimed he was subjected to his own swimming test, but most historians believe he simply suffered and died in pain. For anyone who believes in cosmic justice, there may be some comfort in knowing that in the end, the man who spread death and fear ultimately paid the price. The strange origins of the Ouija board. Want to talk to demonic spirits? Most people think of the Ouija board, but what few realize is that the board's beginnings had nothing to do with demons or the Catholic Church. The Ouija board was created in the 19th century as a game invented by 2 spiritualist sisters in New York. The spiritualist movement began in Hydesville, where Kate and Maggie Fox heard mysterious tapping sounds in their home. Sounds they believed were responses from spirits. When they asked questions, the knocks answered, launching a nationwide phenomenon. The sisters became famous in 1848 and spiritualism spread like wildfire. The movement was built on the belief that it was possible to communicate with the dead. It gained massive popularity during the American Civil War when grieving families sought to contact lost loved ones. A wave of mediums emerged, all claiming the ability to speak with the dead. By 1893, spiritualism had become an official religion, and by 1897, it had more than 8 million followers worldwide. Christians soon began to view it as a form of witchcraft. Originally, mediums used a technique called the alphabet method, patiently reciting each letter until the spirit gave a sign. To simplify things, automatic writing boards were invented, the forerunners of the Ouija, also known as talking boards. By 1886, the Ouija board had become wildly popular. But as the spiritualist movement became tainted by fraud in the early 20th century, Ouija's reputation took a dark turn. Christians labeled it a gateway to hell. By the 1920s, universities began banning the board, calling it a national menace because so many students were believed to be communicating with demons. In reality, the Ouija board was never inherently evil. It was Christianity that cast it as a tool of the devil. And Hollywood has kept that sinister image alive ever since. Holy tears or broken plumbing. At a church in Mumbai, India, a statue of Jesus suddenly appeared to shed tears. Locals believed it was a miracle, and the church quickly became a pilgrimage site. But everything changed when an amateur plumber showed up, and what he said afterward forced him into exile in Finland. That man was Sel-Ed Marukku, a well-known atheist in India, famous for debunking religious myths. He was already disliked by Indian Catholics for criticizing Mother Teresa. But this time he stepped into even more dangerous territory. Sel visited the Church of Our Lady of Valancy where the statue was reportedly weeping. After conducting his own investigation, he concluded that the phenomenon was nothing more than a plumbing issue. Leaking water had trickled down from a pipe and flowed over the statue's face, creating the illusion of holy tears. The backlash was swift and severe. Sel was charged with blasphemy and nearly faced a 3-year prison sentence. Amid a storm of death threats, he was forced to flee his homeland and seek refuge in Finland just to stay alive. Where is Columbus's body? Where are the remains of Christopher Columbus, the man who changed the course of world history? If he was truly that important, wouldn't there be a grand tomb in his honor? The truth is, no one knows exactly where he's buried. Columbus died on May 20, 1506 at the age of 54. After years of illness following his first return voyage from the Americas on the journey home. He was tormented by gout. The condition flared up repeatedly, leaving him bedridden for months. He also suffered bouts of influenza, high fever, and even eye hemorrhages that caused temporary blindness. After returning from his 4th expedition in 1504, Columbus never left Spain again. 2 years later, he died and was buried in the city of Vaud. 3 years afterward, his remains were moved to the Lartuja monastery near Seville, and then again in 1513 to a nearby church. In 1536, his son Diego transferred the remains to the Dominican Republic, placing them in the Grand Cathedral of Sto. Domingo. By 1796, the bones were relocated once more to a church in Cuba, and then eventually returned to the Cathedral of Seville in Spain. From there, the trail becomes murky. Dominican friars insist that Columbus' remains are still in the Caribbean, while Spain maintains that they now rest peacefully in Seville. After so many relocations, no one can say for sure how many churches across Europe and the New World currently hold fragments of the famous explorer Jesus and the magic wand. The Bible tells us that Jesus performed extraordinary miracles from healing the sick to raising the dead, using only his words. But a discovery in the Via Anipo catacombs in Rome dating back to the 4th century has revealed something truly strange. A depiction of Jesus holding what looks like a magic wand. Could he have once been viewed as a kind of wizard? The image uncovered by the Biblical Archaeology Society shows Jesus with a small rod in hand. While historians don't believe Jesus possessed any magical powers, they suggest that early followers might have imagined him in this way. The wand may have served as a symbol to help visualize his miracles, curing illnesses, turning water into wine, or bringing the dead back to life. Jesus wasn't the first figure to be associated with a wand. These rods date back to at least the 9th century B.C. Followers of Zoroastrianism in ancient Iran also used small ceremonial staffs in sacred rites. With a history stretching back over 3,000 years, the wand has long stood as a symbol of mysterious power. Externstein. Sacred stones in Germany's deep forests. Hidden deep within the thick Tudberg forest in western Germany lies a strange stone formation known as Exterstein, a place where history, religion, and ancient legend are etched into the rocks like silent witnesses to forgotten times. Unlike other standing stones brought in from distant lands, Externstein is a natural formation created millions of years ago, but one that has been carved and modified by human hands through the centuries, bearing layers of imprints from ancient cultures. From prehistoric times, the stones seem to carry spiritual significance. Tools from the Paleolithic and Mesolithic eras have been found here, evidence that the site once served as a primitive temple or even an astronomical observatory. Much like Stonehenge in England, some of the high rock faces have hollowed-out chambers with windows facing the sunrise on the summer solstice. a design far too precise to be accidental. Carvings on the rocks suggest this was once a sacred gathering place for the polytheistic Saxons. They worshipped their gods amid nature, and Extenstein with its stone spires reaching skyward was a perfect holy ground. But everything changed in the 8th century when Emperor Charlemagne set out to conquer Saxony. Determined to spread Christianity, he destroyed all pagan temples and ordered crosses carved into sacred sites. A symbolic message that the old ways must yield to the new. In the 9th century, a Christian monastery was built at Externstein. Monks began etching biblical scenes into the rock, and a stone balustrade was added in 1663, long after the ancient Saxons had faded into history. But Externstein was not just a relic of ancient spirituality. During the Nazi era, Heinrich Himmler, head of the SS, ordered excavations at the site, hoping to find evidence of a lost Germanic civilization to support nationalist ideology. None was ever found. Through thousands of years, these sacred stones have stood firm, bearing witness to the tides of history. Today, few outside of Germany have even heard of Externstein. But for the locals, it remains a quiet sanctuary in the woods, place to walk, reflect, and listen for the whispers of time. Roman cemetery skeletons beneath the streets of Slovenia. Right in the heart of modern-day Ljubljana, a seemingly ordinary public works project revealed a long-buried secret. As workers dug into the ground for routine infrastructure repairs, they had no idea they were about to unearth a forgotten past. A massive Roman cemetery holding more than 350 mysterious human skeletons. For a full year, city streets were blocked off and traffic rerouted to make way for archaeologists. Commuters and students passed by daily, watching history being unearthed in real time. Then, just before the excavation deadline, came an astonishing discovery. The foundation of an early Christian church lying beside the cemetery. The burial ground belonged to the ancient Roman outpost of Emona, what Slovenia was once called under the Roman Empire. More than 40 stone coffins were recovered, including one elaborate grave, possibly reserved for someone of noble rank. The graves date back to the 4th and 5th centuries, a transitional period when Rome was shifting from paganism to Christianity. What shocked archaeologists most was the presence of grave goods buried with some of the bodies. According to Christian doctrine, personal belongings were not typically buried with the dead. So, this suggests that the religious transition did not happen overnight. Many Romans clung to old customs long after converting. The most striking artifact found was a glass bowl engraved with Greek letters placed inside the coffin of a woman along with gold-threaded fabric and the tomb's refined design. Experts believe she held high status, possibly a nun or noble woman. Beneath the modern pavement of Ljubljana, beneath concrete and asphalt, lies the memory of a mighty empire. The skeletons rest in silence, but through them, history stirs once more, reminding us that the story of ancient Emona continues to unfold layer by layer deep beneath the soil. Earth attacked by 10 billion atomic bombs. In 1859, an unprecedented solar storm swept across space, leaving behind a terrifying scar in human history. The phenomenon, later named the Carrington event, was like Earth being struck with a force equivalent to 10 billion atomic bombs detonating simultaneously. It's hard to comprehend such a thing in modern times. But on that September 1st, people felt how fragile humanity truly was in the face of the sun's fury. A stream of plasma and subatomic particles erupted from the surface of the sun, heading straight toward Earth with devastating force, equal to billions of Hiroshima-level disasters. That energy crippled the rudimentary telegraph systems of the time. Many telegraph operators were shocked by electrical discharges, and their machines caught fire right before their eyes. If this were to happen today, the entire global power grid could collapse, throwing humanity back into the dark ages. What's even more terrifying is that it could happen at any moment right now. Minutes from now or hours away. No one can predict it. Though people in 1859 didn't fully understand the science, they still sensed something unnatural. They looked up at the sky and witnessed a blinding light show. It wasn't a solar eclipse, but a dazzling aurora that lit up the heavens for an entire week. The light was so surreal that many believed the end of the world was near. Cries of panic rang out everywhere. The final day has come. But it wasn't the end. At least not for them. For modern humanity, a similar event could be a catastrophic nightmare in a world where nearly every aspect of life depends on electricity and technology. From his observatory, astronomer Richard Carrington was the one who witnessed and recorded the event. He saw two white flares suddenly appear on the sun's surface. Solar eruptions hurling energy toward Earth with the power of billions of nuclear bombs. No one knows how many times this phenomenon has happened before or how often it might return. Perhaps the downfall of human civilization won't come from war, but from another Carrington event. Fairy rings. Are fairy rings just a natural phenomenon? Or are they actually gateways to another world? The answer depends entirely on what you choose to believe. These mysterious mushroom circles appear suddenly overnight, forming perfect rings on the grass. They're found in nearly every part of the world where grass grows, from Europe to the United States. What's especially strange is that they seem to move, appearing in nearby spots without following any clear pattern. For thousands of years, these mushroom rings have been linked to legends and the supernatural. In many places, they're believed to be traces left by fairies, elves, or other mystical beings who gathered there. In Germany and France, they're called witch rings. Proof, some believe, of dark magical rituals. According to folklore, if you see a mushroom ring in the morning, it means supernatural creatures gathered there the night before. Many stories warn that anyone who dares to step into such a ring will vanish from the human world, forever trapped in the realm of fairies. So, the next time you find a mushroom ring deep in the forest, you might pause before stepping in, because what if it's more than just a quirk of nature? Dark oxygen. We've all heard of dark matter. But what about dark oxygen? Even scientists know very little about it. But recent discoveries have triggered serious alarm. In 2013, oceanographer Andrew Sweetman noticed something strange while studying the Clarion-Clipperton Zone in the Pacific Ocean. At a depth of 3,600 meters beneath the sea, his instruments recorded signs of oxygen production, something that should have been impossible. In a place with no sunlight, photosynthesis can't occur. First, Andrew thought the equipment was malfunctioning, but the truth turned out to be something else entirely. Dark oxygen doesn't need sunlight to form. It is created by metallic nodules on the seafloor rich in minerals like cobalt and nickel. This discovery isn't just a rare natural event. It could completely change how we understand Earth's processes. Scientists still don't fully understand how dark oxygen is generated. Andrew and his team believe these metal nodules might act like natural batteries, splitting seawater into hydrogen and oxygen through electrolysis. It's a scientific mystery, and its answers remain hidden in the ocean's deepest depths. The Aora Caves, masterpieces carved into the Indian mountain rock. Hidden inside an ancient Indian hill lies the Aora Cave Complex, a monumental site recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site tied to both Hinduism and Buddhism. These aren't traditional buildings. They're rock-cut temples sculpted directly into the mountain face, forming one of the largest architectural feats of its kind in the world. From the 6th to the 8th century CE, ancient artisans began their work from the mountaintop, carving downward with incredible precision and technical mastery. One of the most breathtaking structures is the Kailoa Temple, standing nearly 30 m tall, believed to be the largest monolithic stone temple in existence. Strangely, few people even know it exists. Altogether, the complex includes 35 caves and temples, each one carved entirely by hand. Every chisel, every hammer blow turned solid rock into a grand sculpture. The ancients didn't just carve the mountain. They breathed life into its walls, corridors, and sacred chambers. One of the oldest caves is a textbook example of Hindu temple architecture. It features a central shrine, a circumambulatory path for pilgrims, vestibules, and countless bas-reliefs depicting Hindu epics. Near the entrance stands a statue of Shiva dancing surrounded by celestial musicians and images of him slaying the buffalo demon king. A vivid, awe-inspiring scene glowing in the soft light of ancient stone. What's most astonishing is how intact these statues and carvings remain. After nearly 400 years, they're still preserved with incredible clarity, as if time itself passed by without touching them. But the greatest mystery is this. Where did all the stone go? Millions of cubic meters of rock were removed from the mountain, but no trace of them has ever been found. It's as if the stone simply vanished into thin air. The legged snake. An evolutionary mystery from the ancient shadows. For most people, the image of a snake is forever tied to its legless, slithering form. But scientists have just revealed a surprising truth. The ancestors of modern snakes once had 4 legs, 2 front, and 2 back, just like lizards. Rare fossils recently uncovered clearly show this. Now, researchers are faced with a critical question. How did snakes go from legged creatures to the limbless reptiles we know today? Did they evolve from land-dwelling lizards or from sea-dwelling reptiles? Thanks to modern X-ray scanning, scientists created 3D reconstructions of the fossils, especially the limbs, and discovered that the leg bones closely resemble those of present-day lizards. But these fossils are incredibly rare. Only 3 specimens like them have ever been found. The most recent fossil was unearthed in Lebanon and dated to roughly 95 million years ago. The creature measured about 50 centimeters in length and had 4 small limbs just a few centimeters long, like tiny leftover legs from its ancestral form. Yet scientists still don't know which ancient reptile gave birth to modern snakes, or what evolutionary pressure caused them to lose their legs entirely. The questions remain unanswered, and the fossils frozen in stone continue to guard secrets from millions of years ago. The village of twins in the remote countryside of Kerala, India, lies a village that has baffled both doctors and scientists alike. This is Kodini, a village where the rate of twin births is so high that it seems to defy every biological rule. Normally, the global rate of twin births is around 2 to 4%. In the United States, it's under 2%. But in Kodini, the numbers are staggering. More than 220 pairs of twins in a community of only about 2,000 families. In 2008 alone, out of 300 births, 15 were twins, 6 times the global average. Even more astonishing, the number keeps increasing each year. Life here has taken on a unique twist. Classrooms are filled with identical twins, making it nearly impossible for teachers and locals to tell them apart. Confusion and playful pranks happen all the time, creating an atmosphere that's both chaotic and oddly charming. Dr. Krishna, who has spent years studying this phenomenon, claims that the actual number of twins is even higher than the official count. He estimates there may now be as many as 350 pairs. According to him, the trend began about 70 years ago, possibly linked to the villagers' diet. Yet, no one has identified what special ingredient could be causing it. Whether it's coincidence, genetics, or something beyond science, Kodini remains a place that holds an unsolved mystery for the world. The Amo Lighthouse, a mystery lost at sea. For centuries, the lonely island of Inamo in the open sea had only one kind of resident lighthouse keepers. They lived and worked surrounded by storms, beams of light, and the eternal darkness of the ocean. But in 1900, a strange event on this island sent shockwaves through all of England. When Captain James Harvey's small boat approached Amo, he was puzzled that no one from the lighthouse came to greet him. A breach of protocol that had never happened before. Harvey sounded the ship's whistle, even fired flares to announce his arrival. But there was no response from the cliffs above. Joseph Moore, the man sent to replace the keepers, decided to row to shore alone. He climbed the jagged cliffside and followed the winding path to the lighthouse. From his very first steps, a chilling sensation overtook him. Like the place itself had lost all traces of life. When Moore reached the lighthouse, he found the door slightly ajar, creaking in the wind. 2 of the 3 oilskin coats belonging to the keepers were missing. In the kitchen, Emile sat half-eaten. A chair was overturned and the wall clock had stopped. But the most terrifying thing was the complete absence of the 3 lighthouse keepers. They had vanished without leaving a single clue. Captain Harvey immediately ordered a search. But no trace was ever found. The lighthouse logbook, one of the few things left behind, described terrifying storms, which one keeper wrote were the worst in 20 years. Another entry noted one man had grown unusually silent, while the other broke down crying despite being a seasoned sailor. Strangely, the dates in the log didn't match any recorded storms in the area. The actual storm hit days later, right after the final entry, which read, "The storm has passed. God is over all." That single line remains an enigma to this day. An investigation committee later suggested that a massive rogue wave might have swept the men into the sea. But that theory can't explain why no one stayed inside the lighthouse, which was required under all circumstances, or why none of their bodies were ever recovered. The mystery of Amo remains as silent as the ever-burning light itself, lost in the whispers of wind and crashing waves. The Sandyborg Massacre. The Cursed Fortress by the Sea. In 2018, in a coastal village called Sandyborg on Åland Island in southeastern Sweden, archaeologists made a chilling discovery. Hundreds of human remains scattered inside an ancient stone fortress surrounded by towering walls. Around 250 people, men, women, and children had been brutally slaughtered in what is now called the Cursed Fortress. The first clue came in 2010 when a single skeleton was unearthed near the doorway of an old house. But soon 26 more bodies were found, all bearing signs of violent death. Slashing, stabbing, and blunt trauma from sharp weapons. No one was spared. Regardless of age or gender, the attackers went from house to house, killing everyone they encountered. The skeleton of a teenage boy was found sprawled on top of another body. The remains of one man were discovered with sheep's teeth stuffed into his mouth, possibly as an act of humiliation by the killers. In a single house, 9 victims were slaughtered together. There were no signs of defense or struggle, suggesting the villagers were taken completely by surprise. Pots and meals were left unfinished next to fires that still burned, proof that this was a sudden, well-planned, and merciless attack. Who were the perpetrators? And why would they annihilate an entire community? The fortress, perched right on the coast and surrounded by high stone walls, made it unlikely that pirates were responsible. Even stranger, all the jewelry, livestock, and valuables were left untouched, indicating that theft wasn't the motive. Yet, all the weapons in the village were gone, pointing to a calculated political purge. Around 500 years ago, Europe was engulfed in chaos. The Western Roman Empire had fallen. Trade routes collapsed, and tribes waged endless wars while the Huns swept in from the east. Amid this turmoil, Sandyborg may have been the victim of a power struggle. Though archaeologists are eager to continue investigating this massacre, funding for further excavations has dried up. As a result, the bones beneath the fortress remain undisturbed, keeping their bloody secrets sealed. The silent screams of a village that once lived, loved, and was buried in the shadows of history. Eerie sounds from the depths of the ocean to the upper layers of the sky. Strange sounds are now puzzling scientists. Researchers at Sandia National Laboratories launched a microphone into the stratosphere using the simplest method, a weather balloon. But what the device recorded was nothing they expected. Mysterious unexplained sounds echoed every hour at regular intervals. The stratosphere is supposed to be silent at 21 kilometers above the Earth. There are no storms, no airplanes, and no apparent sources of noise. Yet, The microphone captured sounds in the infrasound range below 20 Hz. Far too low for the human ear to detect. Daniel Bowman, the lead researcher, admits that the source of these signals remains entirely unknown. 70,000 feet in the air. What could possibly make such noises? A hidden alien craft. The hum of a massive cosmic screen projecting the universe. These theories sound far-fetched. But for now, science has no better answer. Natural mummies of the Andes. Not all mummies are man-made. In the high mountains of Colombia, scientists have found bodies naturally preserved. Not through deliberate embalming, but by nature itself. The mystery lies in what preserved them. The soil, some unknown gas, or even the diet of the deceased. The story leads to the San Bernardo Museum in the Andes, about 64 kilometers from the city of Buga. This ancient region, rich in agriculture and inhabited for thousands of years, now houses over a dozen naturally mummified bodies that continue to baffle researchers. Some climatologists believe the unique chemical composition of the soil here has contributed to the preservation. Local residents, on the other hand, claim their ancestors' bodies were preserved thanks to a diet rich in vitamin C, particularly from the contaduro fruit. Scientists still don't have an answer. It's possible the soil contains gases that slow decomposition, but no conclusive evidence has been found. These mummies are about 150 years old. First discovered in the 1950s after a major flood. The San Bernardo mummies evoke memories of the eerie mummies of Guanajuato, Mexico, a phenomenon still not fully understood. Anyone who visits this place can't help but marvel at how Mother Nature has preserved life against the flow of time. How to become immortal? Since the dawn of humankind, people have relentlessly sought the secret to immortality. Ancient alchemists wandered the world in search of the philosopher's stone. Chinese emperors drank liquid mercury, believing it would grant them eternal life. But it seems only the Tibetan monks have come closest to touching what humanity has always longed for. They possess a secret practice that continues to baffle modern science: meditation after death. A state scientists claim is impossible. In this deep meditative trance, the monk's body remains motionless in the lotus position and shows no signs of decay. The brain ceases function. Yet death does not occur. Every year, devotees from around the world make pilgrimages to Anulin Yuta in Siberia to witness the incorrupt body of Dashadoro. This monk is believed never to have died. He has merely been meditating since 1927, nearly a century ago. Itigilov informed his disciples that his time had come and instructed them to bury him. He entered a deep meditative state, fearing to pass away. But in truth, he never died. 30 years later, as he had requested, his disciples exhumed his body. What they found astonished them. Idigilov's body was still intact, with no signs of decomposition. They believed he was still meditating, fearing the Soviet Union would discover this religious miracle. The monks buried him in an unmarked grave. The story nearly faded into oblivion until a young lama named Bema Dorjo, son-in-law of a man who had witnessed the original exhumation, remembered the location. In 2002, the body was unearthed again in the presence of forensic scientists, photographers, and local witnesses. Idilov's body remained uncorrupted. Monks believe he is still meditating and that he exists in another realm. Even now, scientifically speaking, Idigel is dead. His body shows no biological activity, but the preservation defies all understanding. The monks say his consciousness lives on, having left this world and found peace in another dimension. To achieve immortality, perhaps one must become a monk, bury oneself, and let meditation carry the mind beyond death. The Sahara floods. In the driest region on Earth, an unprecedented event has just occurred. The Sahara Desert, long believed to be a land without water, was submerged in floodwaters. Shocking satellite images showed the infamous desert transformed into a massive lake, as if preparing for a giant pool party. For the first time in decades, heavy rains poured over the Sahara. Typically, this region receives only a few centimeters of rain annually, mainly at the end of summer. But this past September, a massive deluge struck the desert regions of Morocco, triggering widespread flooding. NASA satellite images showed some areas receiving up to 20 centimeters of rain. The desert city of Aria recorded rainfall 4 times higher than average. Although Morocco experienced similar rainfall roughly 50 years ago, this time was different. Long dry basins suddenly brimmed with water, and entirely new lakes formed between the dunes. Spanning 9.2 million square km. The Sahara is the largest non-polar desert on the planet. This immense influx of water not only created new lakes, but also gave rise to patches of green that blanketed the dry sands with a layer of life. Humanity may be witnessing a major environmental shift in Africa. If the trend continues within our lifetimes, the Sahara might transform from a barren brown wasteland into a lush green expanse. Naptopia, the mystery of a pre-Egyptian civilization. Long before ancient Egypt rose to power along the Nile, another prehistoric civilization thrived in the arid Nubian desert. Naptopla. Today, very few archaeological remnants remain to tell the story of this early society. Except for a remote site deep in the desert sands. What's left at Napa includes hundreds of ancient mounds called tumuli, large stone slabs, and remarkable megalithic structures. This civilization began around 11,000 years ago and had built a surprisingly organized community for its time. Inside the sandstone tumuli, archaeologists uncovered bones of cattle such as cows, goats, and sheep, evidence that the now barren land once had a wet climate suitable for farming and herring. One unusually large tumulus held the skeleton of a young cow dated to about 700 years ago, possibly the remains of a ritual sacrifice. The more experts excavated, the more they believed. A belief system or even a primitive religion flourished here during the 6th millennium B.C., and then it vanished. Around 5,000 years ago, the climate shifted, the land dried up, desertification spread, and Napa quietly faded into obscurity. No one knows where its people went. One theory suggests they migrated toward the Nile and laid the foundation for ancient Egyptian cities. The step pyramid at Saqqara was built less than 500 years after Nablus' collapse, hinting that its builders may have brought their cultural and architectural knowledge from elsewhere. According to archaeologist J. McKim Malville, some Nat Playa structures were aligned with the brightest star in Ursa Major, a celestial body that played a vital role in Egyptian religion. Though many clues suggest this lost civilization may have been the forerunner to ancient Egypt, the theory remains unproven. For now, Nat Playa remains one of humanity's great unresolved mysteries. The spook lights that give you goosebumps. Along the deserted back roads of Ottawa County, Oklahoma, there's a mystery that has puzzled scientists and enchanted locals for decades. As night falls, faint glowing lights begin to appear dancing and flickering on the horizon. People call them the spook lights, a phenomenon that seems both supernatural and scientifically unexplainable. Local legends are filled with stories about these eerie lights. Some believe they are the spirits of Native American warriors, restless souls searching for their way home. Others whisper that the lights mark a gateway to hell itself. Despite the captivating folklore, scientists have attempted to investigate. In the 942nd, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers used advanced equipment to study the lights. But the only thing they found was silence. The spook lights appear and vanish at will with no consistent pattern. Some theories point to swamp gas or atmospheric distortions. Others blame car headlights or city light reflections. But none of these explanations account for the light's strange behavior or the fact that they often appear in remote uninhabited places. After decades of research and thousands of eyewitness reports, the spook lights remain a mystery. They could be a natural phenomenon, an optical illusion, Or something far beyond human understanding. Angel hair. Something falls from the sky, and no one knows exactly what it is. Some believe it's a substance from another dimension. Others claim it's a trace left behind by aliens. Scientists cautiously call it spider silk. But no matter the explanation, this strange phenomenon continues to give people chills. It's called angel hair. This event has been reported in France, Finland, Canada, and many other places. Witnesses describe seeing fine, ghostly strands, white and wispy, drifting from the sky like silvery streamers. It looks like spider silk being vacuumed from the clouds and then released over the land. What's bizarre is that scientists have never been able to collect a sample in time. Every time angel hair appears, it evaporates before anyone can retrieve it. Some reports even claim that after touching the ground, the material foams up, turns into a gel-like substance, and then defying gravity floats back into the sky. Clearly not something spider silk should be capable of. Some believe angel hair is proof of interdimensional rifts. Others think it's residue from a miracle, or the very material that falls when angels descend to Earth. In 2014, the phenomenon happened again in Portugal 2 weeks in a row. One anonymous witness managed to collect a sample and examine it under a microscope at home. Under UV light, the strands seemed to come alive, hinting that they might be living organisms in the atmosphere we have yet to discover. But both the sample and the witness soon vanished. There is a less supernatural theory, but it may be even more unsettling. Some species of spiders migrate by releasing silk into the air, allowing the wind to carry them like kites. Thousands of strands can drift together, and when the wind dies down, they fall along with the spiders, themselves like rain. Atmospheric electricity might cause dust to cling to the silk, creating a slimy texture that people mistake for alien or angelic material. That theory has yet to be proven, and until it is, people will keep whispering. Maybe angel hair comes from somewhere science hasn't reached. The frozen Earth. 700 million years ago, our planet was entirely swallowed by ice, transformed into a snowball drifting through space. That planet was Earth itself. This phenomenon is known as the snowball Earth theory. Specifically during the Sturs glaciation, during that ice age, glaciers didn't just cover the poles, they extended to the equator, encasing the entire planet in thick, unrelenting ice. Scientists believe this truly occurred, though the exact cause remains unclear. Dr. Adriana Dukovic suggests it was connected to a sharp decrease in atmospheric CO2. With insufficient greenhouse gases, temperatures plummeted and Earth plunged into ice for some 57 million years. The planet remained in a state of hibernation. No large animals, no dinosaurs, not even complex multicellular life could survive. This chilling episode reminds us that Earth is always capable of dramatic and unpredictable shifts on a geological scale. Some scientists predict that in 250 million years, a new subearctic continent, Pangaea 2.0, will form. At that point, Earth may become so hot that all mammals could perish, regardless of human-induced climate change. The haunted forest of Transylvania, a gateway to another world. If someone thinks that the scariest thing to emerge from Transylvania was Count Dracula, they'd be mistaken. Outside Cluj-Napoca in Romania lies a forest with a chilling nickname, the Bermuda Triangle of Transylvania, a place locals dare not enter. The forest's real name is Hoia Baciu, but to residents, simply the clearing, a round barren patch in the woods where no life grows. It is said to be inhabited by demons, wandering spirits, and possibly extraterrestrials. The strange phenomena there began gaining global attention in the 1960s when biologist Alexander Sift photographed an unidentified flying object above the forest. After that photo, a cascade of unbelievable events followed. A shepherd and 200 sheep vanished without a trace. A young girl disappeared in the forest only to reappear 5 years later wearing the same clothes not a day older. Many visitors report strange burns, rashes, nausea, high fevers, and long-lasting headaches after entering the forest. Scientists studying soil samples found elevated natural uranium levels indicating unusual radiation. But even that doesn't explain everything. Trees themselves are abnormal. Instead of growing straight, they twist into spirals, all rotating clockwise, almost as if guided by an unseen force. At the center of all these mysteries lies a smooth circular clearing. No grass, no roots, not a single plant survives. Multiple soil analyses have revealed nothing that would block life from growing. Hoya has become one of the most intensively studied supernatural sites in the world. Yet, despite modern technology, no conclusive answers exist. What is this forest? A portal to a parallel universe? A gateway to another world? Or a warning from forces we still don't understand? Volubilis, the ghost of a Roman city, tucked quietly among hills near the sacred town of Mule Idris, Zaroun in Morocco. Volubilis stands as a lone ruin on the dusty canvas of history. But don't be fooled by its faded state. This was once the best preserved Roman city in the country, a vivid testament to a glorious era long gone. Volubilis was built before Christianity dominated the region back, when this land was part of the indigenous kingdom of Mauritania, under Roman control. It was also one of the most remote cities of the Roman Empire. At its peak, Volubilis housed an estimated 20,000 residents, thriving through olive cultivation and olive oil production, valued commodities in antiquity. Its grand temples, opulent villas, and exquisite mosaic art sparkled like a jewel in the desert. But everything began to fall apart in 40 CE, when local populations revolted against Roman rule. Volubilis held out for a few more centuries before the Romans withdrew by 285 CE. With the rise of Islam in the region, many temples and buildings were dismantled. Residents moved to nearby mountains, leaving Volubilis empty and desolate. In the 18th century, a devastating earthquake brought further destruction. Stone columns collapsed and arches crumbled into dust. Today, though only ruins remain, the soul of a once majestic civilization persists. Bathed in North African sunlight, ancient stones still whisper the story of a city once poised at the crossroads of culture, religion, and power, slowly forgotten by the march of time. Mysterious lights. On September 7, 2021, a magnitude 7.0 earthquake shattered parts of Mexico. But the shock wave that haunted witnesses most wasn't the tremor. It was the sky lighting up in surreal shades of green and red as the ground shook. Clouds above glowed ablaze, turning the heavens into a scene out of a dream. The spectacle was so terrifying that many believed it signaled the end of days. People panicked and fled for cover. The earthquake's epicenter was near Acapulco. Yet, its tremors reached Mexico City over 300 kilometers away. The strange lights blazed brightest near the epicenter. And to this day, science offers no definitive explanation. The most widely accepted theory is that these were earthquake lights, an EQL phenomenon recorded years before many major quakes, often appearing minutes to hours before seismic activity. In ancient times, people saw such lights as divine omens, later dismissed as folklore. They only gained scientific credibility in the modern age when cameras began recording them. But acknowledging their existence doesn't mean we understand them. Some researchers propose that seismic stress distorts Earth's magnetic field. A 2014 study suggested certain rocks may release electrical charge under tectonic pressure, emitting a blue glow from the ground. These remain only theories. No one truly knows what earthquake lights really are. Beer. The vanished village in Brazil's jungle. In 1923, a team discovered the small village of Habir deep in the Brazilian jungle, but found not a single soul. Around 600 inhabitants had vanished. Doors stood open, possessions untouched, with no signs of struggle, as if the entire population walked away silently all at once. Officials from nearby towns searched the site, In the village school, they found a gun fired just a day before. On the chalkboard, scrolled in hurried handwriting were the words, "No salvation." A search party combed the area, but found no remains, no camps, no survivors. That time, the story barely made headlines. Yet, given Brazil's political turmoil in that era, many suspect the villagers were forcibly evacuated or possibly massacred. Even today, the Amazon rainforest remains dangerous. Illegal loggers and miners threaten, attack, and sometimes kill indigenous peoples to seize land. The tale of Habir first emerged in a Russian magazine. Many believe it is a myth woven from various South American oral traditions. Yet, a few photographs purportedly from Habir still circulate online. While the village is gone, the Amazon is vast and each year small communities vanish without trace. For some, Habir is a Brazilian ghost story. For others, it's a silent warning of what can happen in the shadowy depths of jungle, where people can disappear and no one ever knows. High bridge spanning the river with them in the ancient city of Lincoln, England. High Bridge stands as one of the oldest surviving bridges in the world. Built in 1160, this structure is far more than a crossing. It's a living testament to centuries of England's layered history. What makes High Bridge truly remarkable is that houses were built on top of it. Only 3 such bridges remain in England today. And High Bridge is the oldest. It started life as an ordinary bridge. Around 550 traditional timber-framed houses began to rise above it. Once a medieval chapel stood there, too. But it was dismantled in 1762. Today, the bridge is home to a small cafe serving traditional English treats, plus a handful of tiny apartments. Its distinctive architecture draws the eye. Beneath the bridge arches, a narrow passageway allows boats to pass through. Locals jokingly call it the Glory Hole, as it's the only channel connecting the river with them to the ancient Brofordpool Harbor. The silent village on Achill Island. On a remote corner of Achill Island in Ireland, a small village was founded in 1838 beside Keem Bay. At its height, about 40 cozy thatched roof homes sat nestled among sweeping, enchanting landscapes. Truly tranquil. Frequently described by visitors as magical. Yet, the village's history is shrouded in mystery. No local remembers a thing about the settlement. Oddly, other communities on the island still exist. Only this one vanished as if it never was. To get to the bottom of it, the Achill Archaeology School excavated the site. They discovered that before it was abandoned, the village was violently destroyed. Stone and clay houses purposefully demolished. Only foundations and mounds remained. Residents once gathered around fireplaces, sheltered under thatched roofs, and sheltered livestock indoors. During winter common 19th century Irish practices. According to records, in 1855, a man named Charles Boycott leased the land, but the villagers had disappeared before he could build on it. No one knows why. But it coincided with the Great Famine. Though that alone doesn't fully explain the complete abandonment and destruction. The mummy caves of Cagayan, hidden deep in the mountains of the Philippines, lies one of Asia's greatest mysteries. And the site remains deceptively remote. These are the Cagayan mummy caves, also called mummies or the fire mummies of Bangat. Because of looting in the early 20th century, authorities kept their precise location secret for many years. Even now, reaching them requires a strenuous journey. A flight to the Philippines, a 5-hour drive through mountain villages, then hiking through dense forest. Inside these silent limestone caverns, mummies still rest in their original wooden coffins. They aren't Egyptian-style mummies. Instead, they reflect the distinct customs of the Iowa tribe who inhabited this region from the 13th to the 16th century. Their method of mummification was unique. People washed the body, sat the corpse in a seated position, then blew tobacco smoke into the mouth to dry it from the inside. Over the course of up to 2 years, They used salt, herbs, and fire to gradually extract bodily fluids through the smoke. When the body was dried, it was placed in a coffin and stored in a cave or rock niche. There are over 200 man-made burial chambers in the region, though only 15 mummies have been found to date. Mummification ceased in the 16th century when Spanish colonization and Christianity spread across the area. Today, the Cabayan Caves are considered one of the most threatened heritage sites in the world. But the remote location has helped preserve them somewhat, as living echoes of an ancient ritual that faded into darkness. The Pyramid of Sinis II in the Egyptian desert. The mud brick Pyramid of Sinis II has recently opened to the public for the first time. Although located only about 100 kilometers southwest of Cairo, the structure looks more like a blurred mound than a pyramid eroded and weathered over millennia. It's often referred to as the disappearing pyramid because nearly none of its original shape remains. Now, it resembles a huge knoll rising from golden sands. Still, it's full of mystery and history. Discovered in the 19th century, archaeologists didn't begin fully excavating the interior until the early 2000s. Inside they uncovered multiple mummies and vibrantly painted sarcophagi. This little-known pyramid dates to the 12th dynasty built during the reign of Pharaoh Sinis II. In the 1840s, researchers took months to discover the entrance. There was no obvious doorway. The only access was a narrow tunnel a few meters from the pyramid hidden beneath the tomb of a mysterious princess. That unusual design likely served to deter grave robbers. In recent years, the Egyptian authorities have worked to preserve the site, removing rubble, installing stairs, and adding lighting inside the tunnel so visitors can explore it before time erases it entirely. The neighboring galaxy. A chance discovery with the Hubble Space Telescope revealed a previously unknown galaxy right next door to the Milky Way. Over nearly 3 decades of orbiting Earth, Hubble has observed countless cosmic wonders, this time while studying the globular cluster NGC 6. 752 located about 13,000 light-years away within our galaxy. It unexpectedly captured an image of an entirely new galaxy now named Bedin 1. NGC 6752 is the third brightest globular cluster visible from Earth after Omega Centauri and 47 Tucani. Astronomers were investigating white dwarf stars to estimate the cluster's age when they stumbled upon this new galaxy. Bedin 1 is a spheroidal dwarf galaxy about 13 billion years old containing billions of stars. What's incredible is that it spans only around 3,000 light-year, some 30 times smaller than the Milky Way. Though tiny, Bedin 1 is just one of at least 36 dwarf spheroidal galaxies identified in our local group of about 54 galaxies, of which the Milky Way is only one member. According to Forbes, Bedin 1 lies approximately 30 million light-years away, about 300 times farther than NGC 6. 752, reminding us that the universe still holds untold mysteries in our cosmic neighborhood. Part 36. Man's best friend in the desert. In the arid deserts of Arabia, archaeologists have revealed a discovery unlike any before. A prehistoric rock engraving depicting the close companionship between humans and dogs. It portrays a hunter drawing his bow surrounded by a pack of loyal dogs. Remarkably, several of these dogs appear to be tethered to the hunter's belt, a detail rarely seen in ancient art. According to Science magazine, this carving dates back over 8,000 years, suggesting that humans may have learned to train and control dogs millennia before historical records affirm it. Melinda Zeter of the Smithsonian's National Museum of Natural History calls this the earliest known evidence of humans using dogs to assist in hunting. While further research is needed to confirm the hypothesis, this discovery is rewriting a portion of ancient history, showing that humans and dogs walked side by side from the dawn of civilization. Painted Bones mystery on the banks of the Dnistr River in Ukraine, amid ancient burial mounds filled with human remains. Archaeologists unearthed an unusual skeleton, that of a woman whose bones were painted over 500 years ago after her death. The purpose of this decoration remains a mystery. The excavation team had been digging 61 skeletons from 4 underground cemeteries, the oldest dating back 500 years. Their goal was to find traces, indicating that this region had long been a focal point for cultural exchange. Most of the remains belonged to the Yamna culture, named for their custom of burying the dead in large earth pits. Little is known about this culture, which is why researchers examined every detail to try and uncover clues about ancient life. Then they made a startling discovery: painted bones on a female skeleton. The first known case of such burial decoration within Yamna culture. Experts hypothesize that she held an important status in her community. At some point, her tomb may have been reopened, her bones painted and adorned, and then resealed with care. But the real meaning behind this act remains fully unexplained. The ancient script that rewrites Indian history. In southern India, deep within the ruins of an ancient settlement called Kilat, a discovery is forcing historians to rethink the entire timeline of the Indian subcontinent. Archaeologists have uncovered a unique writing system dating back to the 6th century B.C., a full 300 years earlier than previously believed for India's second wave of urbanization. Until now, scholars thought that after the Indus Valley civilization faded, the next urban societies only emerged in the Gangetic Plains. But the evidence from Kilat has shaken that theory to its core. Organic material found at the site was sent to a lab in Florida, where scientists used accelerator mass spectrometry to date it between the 6th century B.C. and the 1st century CE. Among the artifacts, archaeologists identified 56 pottery shards bearing inscriptions believed to be early forms of the Tamil Brahmi script, the ancient precursor to modern Tamil. Hundreds of additional graffiti-like markings were found, chronicling the step-by-step evolution of this written language. But Kilat yielded more than just writing. Gold and gemstone ornaments, evidence of agriculture, brick walls, and remarkably designed homes painted a vivid picture of a thriving society. These people didn't use money. Instead, they practiced one of the earliest known systems of barter-based exchange in India. The ancient graffiti etched into their ceramics are more than primitive scribbles. They're rewriting the history of a forgotten civilization. The Inca Cemetery of Secrets. In a remote region of Ecuador, during the construction of a new irrigation tank, workers struck something unexpected: human bones buried deep in the earth. What they uncovered was an Inca burial site, and with it, a set of puzzles no one has yet solved. 12 skeletons belonging to both adults and children were found in the rural area of Malalo. Archaeologist Estebanasta noted that the teeth were preserved in astonishing condition. DNA analysis may soon reveal whether the individuals were related by blood. Inca pottery discovered at the site confirmed the cemetery's origins. But some objects defied explanation. One example: a ceramic vessel marked with a large W-shaped symbol. No one knows if it represents a name, place, or something entirely different. Another baffling find: a ring recovered from one of the skeletons. Archaeologists confirm the ring isn't made of any known metal, nor does it match typical Inca artifacts. Its origin and its meaning remain completely unknown. The fossil vampire squid. In a twist of marine prehistory, paleontologists in Prague have uncovered the fossilized remains of a vampire squid, a creature that has somehow survived 30 million years. The discovery was made while researchers were combing through an old fossil collection at the Hungarian Natural History Museum. One overlooked specimen, first unearthed in 1942, had been neglected due to the absence of microossils for analysis. Today, scientists confirmed it once lived in the deep sea, suggesting that vampire squids adapted to the dark ocean depths as far back as 34 to 23 million years ago. Some even estimate that this adaptation occurred as early as 150 million years ago, potentially explaining how the species has dodged extinction for so long. These squids, still alive today, bear a haunting appearance with deep crimson coloring and webbing between their arms like cloaks billowing in the abyss. In the silence of the deep, They remain like ghosts from a forgotten chapter of Earth's history. Humanity's forgotten secrets. For 880,000 years. No one had ever seen this until its discovery sent shock waves through the scientific world. This finding could completely rewrite the timeline of human history. The mysterious cave lies in Kenya at the very cradle of humanity. Africa has long been considered the birthplace of humankind. And in many ways, that is true. It is where early humans first learned to use pigments for painting and to drill shells for jewelry. Yet, strangely, the earliest evidence of complex social behavior has been found in Eurasia, not Africa. Burials of the dead, one of the first signs of cultural development, are primarily recorded in the East. What does this mean? Did some human groups evolve in Africa while others emerged in Asia? Could there have been multiple prehistoric Homo sapiens civilizations? Scientists may have just taken another step toward solving one of evolution's greatest mysteries. Inside the ancient cave of Ponga beneath an overhanging cliff, archaeologists discovered the skeleton of a child. The child was only about 3 years old at the time of death. The tiny body had been laid on its right side in a shallow pit near the coastline. Its legs were drawn up tightly to the chest in a fetal position, wrapped gently in animal hide. The head was rested on a pillow as if prepared for an eternal sleep. Whoever buried this child did so with care and compassion. For 80,000 years, the remains lay undisturbed, gradually covered by layers of soil until they rested nearly 3 m below the surface. This burial is now recognized as the oldest grave ever found in Africa. The cave itself is no less remarkable. It has its own unique microclimate with rare forest plants and unusual animals thriving inside. The local Mijikinda people consider it a sacred place. Now scientists must determine why this child was buried thousands of years before any other known burial. It is a discovery unlike any other, pointing to the early development of human culture. But this child also brought another stunning revelation. Genetic analysis revealed that this individual was significantly different from other Homo sapiens living in Africa at the same time. The results strengthen the theory that modern humans did not evolve from a single population. Research suggests that humanity's ancestors did not originate from one Adam and Eve pair. Instead, Africa was once home to many distinct groups, each with unique physical traits, behaviors, and cultures. Even 100,000 years ago, the continent was already a world of incredible human diversity. Findings like this continue to spark questions about what inspired the very first burial rituals in human history. A new organ in the throat. Just when we thought we fully understood the human body, scientists were stunned to discover a previously unknown organ in the throat entirely by accident. At the Netherlands Cancer Institute, while using specialized scanning technology to examine a patient, doctors found a pair of salivary glands that had never been documented before. After scanning an additional 100 patients, they confirmed the gland's presence in the nasopharyngeal region, tucked behind the nose and concealed by a small piece of cartilage. Researchers named them the tubareal salivary glands. 2 cadavers were also dissected to verify the discovery. It appears the glands are responsible for lubricating the upper throat area right behind the nose and mouth. The findings were published in the journal Radiotherapy and Oncology, and the news sent shockwaves through the medical community. For decades, countless sinus surgeries and reconstructions had taken place. Yet, no one ever noticed these glands. Only now with modern technology has this anatomical secret finally been uncovered. If you found these mysterious stories intriguing, don't forget to leave a comment below and subscribe to our channel, so you won't miss what we uncover next. We'll see you in the next video.